Next.
Next question. Can you expand on how to appropriately, effectively, and tactfully lead up the chain of command in a profession that's considered to be very paramilitary? My line of work sometimes works against us, limiting ideas and ways of doing things.
Yeah, and they're talking about the tradition in their line of work. Okay, so what do? You got a organization you're working in, and how do you lead up the chain of command? Well, even in a paramilitary organization, which, infers that this is a very hierarchical structure and it's chain of command driven. And how do you possibly get your boss to do what you want them to do? Well, it's actually fairly simple. Not easy, but simple. It is hard to do. It does take a lot more. It does take a lot of tact, takes a lot of patience. So number one, you got to build trust. You got to build trust with the people that are above you in the chain of command. You got to build a relationship. You got to be proactive. You got to stay ahead. When I joined the military, one day I just told my dad, "Hey, by the way, I enlisted in the Navy. I'll be gone in 3 weeks or whatever." My dad just looked at me and shook his head, and he says, "You're going to hate the military because you hate authority. You don't listen to anybody." And I was kind of a young, stupid kid, and I'm like, whatever, I'm going in the SEAL teams. It's a team. We don't have to listen to anybody. Of course, I was completely wrong, and you do listen to people, and you do have a chain of command. But he was right in the fact that I didn't like to listen to people, and I didn't like authority. So how did I get ahead of that? It was pretty easy. What I did to get ahead of that was I got ahead of it. And that's what you need to do here. You have to start that attitude of where you're doing what needs to be done before you get told to do it. So you start to appear to have more knowledge and good foresight of what's going to happen. Now you got to be careful that you're not showing up the boss. You can't be flaunting in their face and I already did that, because I'm so much better than you. That's not the goal here. The goal is to build confidence, not to build animosity. You don't want to build animosity. You want to build trust. You want to build confidence. You want to make that person start to realize how good you are. Again, be careful not to throw it in their face. Now, the tradition piece. And sometimes people do cling on to the traditions. And they use the traditions to shut down evolution. And that's bad because what they're really doing is they're protecting their world. They're protecting their existence. And so that's a big wall. That's a big, hard wall to get through. Now, most people do have traditions, and traditions, what are traditions built on? Do we build traditions? Are there traditions of failure and we're proud of that? Right. Are there traditions of losing and we're proud of that? No. Yeah. The traditions are proud traditions. They're traditions of winning. They're traditions of excellence. And in some way, traditions of excellence and traditions of winning and traditions of domination have to be tied in some way to evolving and to adapting and to getting better. Because that's how we win. That's how we dominate. So you have to find that hole in the tradition, that part of the tradition that implies that what we do in our tradition is we get better. Yeah. That's all it is. You just got to find that thing that says we get better. We win. And you take that and you carry that lead, that little crack in the armor of tradition. And you turn that into, we have a proud tradition because we're the best. And if you're going to be the best, does the best stagnate? No, the best evolves. And again, you got to be careful. You can't throw this in their face. Yeah. You got to say, hey, you know what? Our tradition is that we're the best. We make things happen and we get things done. And we always do it better than everyone else. So you know what? Here's one way we could do it better. If we did this, you got to look for those little cracks in the tradition to bring forward change. Now, again, the most important thing, though, is you got to continue to build that relationship with your superiors. You're constantly trying to build that. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. No matter who I ever worked for, I had the same relationship with the crazy boss, with the knucklehead boss, with the loser, with the great guy. Had the same relationship all the time, and that was they trusted me. Didn't matter who I worked for. So you got to build that relationship of trust. You've also got to be careful that as you're trying to be proactive and as you're trying to get things done, that you're not looking to do it for your own ego to get credit, because that disturbs the people at the top. And it makes them say, oh, he's just trying to shine. He's just trying to look good. Screw him. Throw his ideas out. That's what you got to watch out for. So that's your ego. Don't make your ego fight their ego, because they've got an ego too. You want to let your ego go. Build that relationship. Make the change slow. It's going to be slow, steady, and it's going to take persistence in the long war. You got to have patience. Tradition doesn't break down overnight. Tradition takes time to morph. So you got to be ready for that long war, and don't get frustrated. You're part of a winning team. You're part of a team that has a proud tradition. You just got to add to that tradition, and that's going to take time.
Legit.
That's how you do it.